Grom lifted his heavy sword and let the weight of it come down and cut off a chunk of meat and muscle from the dead troll's thigh. As the blade separated the skin, blood squirted up Grom's arm. The fist-sized amount of meat made a dull thud when it hit the dirt, making a small puff of dust. Grom bent his bulging form over and picked up the troll meat. He gave it a firm squeeze and felt the meat wriggle in his grip. Grom waddled his bulbous form over to the nearest fire. The summer was hot, but not so hot that one could cook meat on a flat rock, as was sometimes the case. Grom grabbed a stick from the grip of a snotling passing by and skewered the soon-to-be meal. The stick, a spear by snotling standards, bent under the weight of the troll meat. The snotling yelled profanity in his incomprehensible high-pitched voice and shook his knobby fists in the air. Grom turned away, already forgetting the existence of the small creature. The snotling, however, did not forget so quickly. As soon as Grom turned his back, the snotling ran up behind Grom and kicked him in the back of the leg. Grom, he hardly felt it, but such an assault could not go unpunished. Grom pivoted on his left leg and winded up with his right leg like a Blood Bowl kicker. The snotling was already running off, but not quick enough. The snotling went sprawling through the air and landed in a heap of tangled limbs. The snotling's companions cackled with laughter at his misfortune. Grom turned back in the direction of the fire, smirking over his small victory. Orcs bullied goblins, because they could, and so goblins bullied snotlings. And the snotlings? They bullied mushrooms, since normally they wouldn't strike back. Size dictated the law. Grom was the largest goblin in the Broken Axe tribe, but still not so big as an orc. The other goblins around the fire shuffled closer together to allow Grom's mass to come closer. The meat on the end of the stick, now noticeably larger, caused the stick to droop even more. "Can you actually wait long enough for it to cook this time, Grom?" snickered a goblin on the other side of the fire. It was Laudig, an arrogant goblin who never knew his own limits. Grom's expression must have given away how confused he was. "You always eat your meat half-cooked," explained Laudig. "I saw an orc try to eat troll meat once, and he popped. Troll came right out of his belly and ate the orc he came out of." Laudig rubbed his hands together as if some kind of mastermind. "I'd like to see that again." Laudig, Grom knew, was full of more crap than the dung heap he contributed to. With his spare hand, Grom slapped the underside of his capacious gut. "Nothing can overcome my belly," he said with absolute confidence. "If I eat and don't burst, I get your axe." Laudig looked down at his oversized axe. It was so large and unwieldy that he dragged it more than carried it. No one had ever seen him manage to swing it, but that didn't stop him from bragging about the dozens of kills that he got in each battle. Laudig nodded thoughtfully. "And when you give birth to a troll, I get your armor." Grom shrugged, then nodded. He'd always been too large for his armor that he had long ago scavenged. It covered less than half of his bulk. He resembled a robust halfling in an infant-sized apparel. As Grom moved the troll meat towards his gaping maw, the stick decided it could take no more of the increasing weight. It broke, and with a feeble-sounding snap, the troll meat landed in the dirt, causing another plume of dust. Grom rolled his eyes before bending over a second time to get the slab of troll meat. When he stood upright, he became winded and needed to pause before catching his breath. The other goblins snickered at this. While Grom dusted their dirt off, he imagined how he would disembowel, decapitate, and dismember the other goblins once he had his new axe. He did have to give it a test run after all. Grom sunk his teeth into the troll meat. It was juicy, so juicy. When he ripped it away, it dripped all over his already stained shirt. He chewed it thoughtfully as it wriggled around in his mouth like a live fish. It tasted somewhat familiar. He swallowed it after a few chews and then took another bite, focusing more on the taste this time. It was not quite like anything he had tried before, but still tasted familiar. It was like boar, perhaps? Grom took a third bite, not having yet swallowed his second. Yes, he thought. It tasted like boar on the verge of going bad. Not that any food was too bad for eating, mind you. Grom just found some food was preferred to others. With the food in his mouth only half chewed, he swallowed it, then tossed the last of the troll meat in his mouth. It was so small it was hardly worth chewing. He swallowed it quickly and licked his lips. Grom glanced to the others around the fire. Most looked to be in open shock. Grom displayed his open hands and opened his mouth as large as he could, showing them both to be empty. "I'll be taking my axe now," he said as he advanced on Laudig. But before Laudig could react, Grom's belly rumbled. Everyone paused and stared at Grom's gut. It rumbled again, louder this time. And Grom belched forth a foul-smelling gas, accompanied by small chunks of meat. It was the troll's turn to bite back. A moment before, his stomach seemed calm, but now it churned violently. At first, Grom looked as if such a thing didn't bother him, but as it continued, the pain grew more. He took one step further before pausing, his face already drenched in sweat. Grom could hear the other goblins howling with laughter. At first, their laughing was loud and uncanny, filling his ears. Slowly, their laughter seemed to drift away and become distant. His eyes bulged in their sockets, but he saw less. Grom gripped his stomach firmly, like a human woman protecting their unborn from harm. Grom closed his eyes and focused. The pain receded for a few moments, long enough for Grom to regain his wind. His mouth split into a grin as he knew the troll was done for. Grom, it seemed, was not as smart as he thought. The troll was determined to live, and fought back again with a renewed vigor. Grom screamed to the heavens in anguish. He looked down at his bulging belly. It seemed to grow before his very eyes. Something beneath the skin writhed, contorting this way and that. Grom struck the movements that he saw, trying to subdue the growing form. To Grom's distress, it had little effect. He clutched his bulbous belly as if trying to squeeze a giant ball into his smaller form. He grunted so loudly, it must have sounded like small shouts to those nearby. Grom gazed about. When did he fall to the ground? He could not recall, and it mattered little. He was still next to the fire, and it looked as if it had died down a bit since he last looked upon it. Grom grabbed a stick that was on fire and held it against his belly. Everyone knew trolls were vulnerable to fire. His belly sizzled, then calmed. The smell of burning flesh filled Grom's nostrils. He grinned deliriously, feeling that he had the upper hand. Laughter was soon to come, but Grom, once again, was mistaken about the circumstances. The troll inside churned again. It must have been seeking an escape from the heat. He felt as if he would vomit as the troll tried to make its way up to his gullet. Grom stuck the burning stick in his mouth and bit down. The burning pain in his mouth seemed like an itch compared to what happened in his stomach. He chewed vigorously, swallowing the still burning wood. It stopped the troll moving upward, but did not stop it from moving. Grom rolled in the dirt in agony, tossing from side to side. The concept of time seemed distant to him now. He knew not how long he lay there, sobbing like a whipped snotling. After what must have been a lifetime of a stunty dwarf, the pain suddenly dwindled. He lay there, exhausted, afraid to move. Had he won? Had he digested the troll? Or was the troll biding its time, waiting to attack again? Grom did not ponder on this for long. Drained of all energy, sleep quickly took him. When he awoke, he bolted upright, or tried to. His belly, as massive as it had always been, was now an impossible size. It reminded Grom of the time that he saw a gobbo trying to hide a whole turkey under his shirt from some orcs. The inadequate disguise led to the orcs finding the turkey and removing it forcibly. The goblin then received a pummeling for his greed. Grom, trying to push himself up and rolling side to side, resembled a turtle on its back. Nearby goblins laughed at the spectacle. This only enraged Grom further. With a final push to the side, he managed to roll over onto his belly. His belly was now so large that when he lay on his front, he was almost standing. Grom scowled at the greenskins surrounding him. The orcs still laughed, feeling unthreatened by a goblin. The goblins had all stopped laughing, and most turned to leave. They were all invisible to him, save one, Lodig. Grom glared at him as he walked away. Was Lodig wearing Grom's armor? Grom patted down the parts of him that his stubby arms could reach. His armor was missing. Lodig must have stolen it off of him while he fought the troll inside himself. Lodig! Grom bellowed. Lodig continued walking away, his pace increasing, which wasn't too fast, since he was still dragging around that oversized axe. Grom's axe. Grom heaved and lifted his belly, which must have been twice as large as it used to be. With a sudden burst of speed, he dashed towards his quarry. If Lodig was looking behind him, he would have easily dodged the lumbering form that was Grom. He was tackled and nearly crushed by the enormous weight Grom now sustained. That's my axe, Grom croaked as he reached for the handle. Mine, squeaked Lodig. If Grom had been paying more attention to the squirming Lodig, he would have seen the dagger. Lodig stabbed several times at the gut that crushed him. Grom and Lodig pushed away from each other as blood squirted all over both of them. Lodig scrambled to his feet, his dagger still lodged in Grom's gut. Grom pulled the dagger out slowly and held his trembling hands over the stab wounds. He glared at his attacker and silently vowed to kill him, even if it was the last thing he did. As suddenly as the pain came, it dissipated. They both looked in open-mouthed amazement as Grom's life-threatening injuries slowly closed themselves up. Grom wiped the blood away to reveal no more holes in his stomach than what he was used to. His slack jaw turned into a malicious smile. Before Lodig could properly react, Grom stepped to the side, picking up his new one axe. Swinging it triumphantly in the air, he brought it down upon the astonished Lodig, cleaving his head in two and making it halfway through his torso before the axe stopped. Lodig swayed from side to side before falling backward, drenching the dry dirt in his blood. Grom pulled his axe free from his butchered adversary when he fell away. Gork, or possibly Mork, had seen fit to bless Grom with the troll's regeneration. Grom heaved his new axe over his shoulder with one hand and lifted his drooping gut with the other. He had his mind set on taking other things he wanted, all of which belonged to someone else. Hey guys, this is Keg. This is a short story that I had written called The Battle of the Belly. This was inspired by, well, you just listened to it. It was the event of when Grom gained his regeneration by eating troll meat. I wrote this because I thought it would be kind of cool to experiment with writing a little bit. I haven't tried writing in years. If you guys enjoyed this, please let me know. If you have other stories that you want to hear, short stories 5 to 10 minutes long, let me know what you would like to hear, and I'll try writing something else, and I don't know, maybe we'll start doing more of these. I found it kind of fun, and I was hoping some of you guys might like this. But now I'm off to work, because YouTube doesn't pay my bills. Well, I'm in quarantine now, so off to quarantine. I see hordes of green, red blood too. I see the doom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful war.